Welcome back to the Mind Goals podcast, hosted by yours truly, Siobhan Higgins, sport and performance psychology consultant, professional soccer player, yoga instructor, and soccer coach. The Mind Goals podcast is a space that I hold for myself, other athletes, and other athletic personnel so that we can converse and discuss how we acquired the mindset that we have today. All with the goal in mind that any listeners or viewers can improve their mindset as well. Today, I'm so stoked to have finally nailed down this interview. Yeah, he's laughing already. It is a Houston native, former Houston Dynamo soccer player, and the founder of Sphere, Mike Chabala. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. We finally did it.
I know.
Hard to get.
Yeah,
I'm going to play the game a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah. But I'm glad we made it happen. Happy Easter.
Same. Yeah, happy Easter.
Right? Nice little day for us.
Yeah. So happy to have you.
Yeah, me too.
Also, I was going to mention this earlier. You look pretty tan. Outside.
I don't know what it is, but I mean, I guess just try to get as much outdoor steps, walking situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you though.
Look good.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, the way that we start the podcast is actually, this is fun for like an icebreaker, but it is recalling how we met. Do you remember? What is your first like memory of me?
I thought it was you were playing college ball at University of St. Thomas with Lena.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were like maybe coming to class or like with her maybe. I don't know. What was that? Was that close? Was that University of St. Thomas?
Yes.
Oh, I was training at the team?
Yes.
Yeah. And I was wearing spandex for the class. Yeah. See, I'm pretty good. Got it.
I will say yes, but we met like briefly before because of Lena as well. But like, do you remember Pistoleros on Westheimer?
Yeah.
Shout out Pistoleros. It was like a margarita happy hour. And I remember some of our teammates were there. Lena was there, I think with you and some people. And I remembered you instantly because you were like, oh, you know them? You were like, come on over here. Like, we're all friends. Like, come on, sit over. And I was like, oh, this guy's friendly. Like, cool. But
Sounds like it.
Yeah, but like if anyone's ever met you, like that's just how you are. You're inviting, you're warm, you're welcoming. And when I took a Sphere class, I was like, oh, wow, this is how Sphere is also. And so I'm excited for people to get to know you, a little bit about your background, why you created Sphere, and your journey along the way.
Yeah, that's such a great. I forgot about that part, but that's definitely me. It's always like, how do you connect as many people possible, and making people a little bit uncomfortable by making them feel a bit more connected.
Yeah, I love that.
But yeah, let's dig in.
Cool. So I don't know actually where you were born, raised.
Fresno, California. Yeah, I was born in Central Valley. Wonderful, wonderful family. And then I left home pretty early, like age of 8, started traveling. My dad lied about my birth certificate. Played on like a U11 team and was scouted at Surf Cup. And there was this, like the scout was like, oh my gosh, the kid's really good. And then went to my coach, like, oh, he's actually 8, which is even more attractive to a pro team.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're doing a private training session in Fresno. And then I was like flying across the world by myself and like lived off and on for 2 years, which like catapulted my career. But yeah,
holy cow.
But I'm from Fresno, California.
When you were like, I did not know where you were going with that birth certificate comment. I was like, and what? Okay, but it was for soccer. That's giving like the benchwarmers part where they open it up and it's like, I am 15 and the picture is like 40.
Exactly.
So other way around.
Yeah.
But wow. Okay. So tell me about traveling across the world as a 8, 9, 10-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
Where were you going?
Kind of wild. Well, I mean, I was in Vienna, Austria. Was literally like bouncing around different countries for different tournaments, just youth trainings. I mean, I don't really recall a lot of it. I think over the years I've like done some therapy work, and it's like systematic disorder where you actually detach from these experiences that were traumatic. And for me, it's like, oh gosh, I'm like excited to tell you that right now. But, as an 8-year-old, probably missing the critical period with my mother and, just being away like with my little Game Boy and traveling to and from practices by myself and feeding my, it's kind of a big jump for like an 8-year-old, which again, grateful for the experience, but it was definitely a lot at the time. But I don't remember all of it. I just know that, I played all over Europe, was training almost to the age of 10 where they offered me a pro contract. And then my parents said no, because they wanted me to go to college. And if you sign a pro deal, you can't get a full scholarship. So that was a top priority for my family. So I came back and joined like the youth development programs, national team programs, and just kept traveling, kept training, was hyper focused, really kind of said I wanted to be a pro earlier on, but really kind of committed like around the age of 12.
Okay.
And then it was just like one-way traffic, you know, it was just only a matter of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And then so what university did you end up going to then?
University of Washington. Yeah, I was close between West Point and UW. And
your life could have been
my grandpa was Army 27 years. He raised me. It's a big reason for the whole no strangers and for the way that I kind of live my life in terms of, you know, always making sure that I'm introducing people and connecting. But yeah, anyways, you know, I really admired him. And so that was one of the directions I was thinking about going, and literally asked him, I was like, hey, you know, I want to do this. He's like, no, go play soccer. So I mean, I was going to play soccer at West Point, but anyways, the coach from Washington came to my house. He was like the first guy to come visit me.
When you were like 13, he said, hey, by the way.
No, I was like 16, 17. But yeah, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. This guy's flying down, just have dinner with my family and offer me a full scholarship. I was like, cool, I'm just going to go there. And it was great because I mean, I wanted to go away from home and, you know, experience life outside of California and just get that college experience. And
did you get it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a quick, fast 3.5 years. Learned a lot. Didn't start out as great as I probably would have hoped, just for personal reasons and a relationship, and not fully aligned and focused. But you know, God has a way of working things out that got me aligned and, you know, moved forward to like All-American, getting drafted, and, you know, getting into my professional career.
Yeah, you are briefing over your accolades. I would like to hear them actually. So during your time at Washington, did you guys win a conference championship? Did you said All-American? Was that all 3 years, 1 year?
It was my third year, my junior year.
Also, congrats. That's
thanks,
cool.
Yeah, it was. I was like top 20 players in the country, or top. I don't even know what it was. Like they did like a top 25, but it was like in the top 10 or something. But yeah, and then we never went to like Elite Eight. We lost against St. Louis, but we were always like top 10.
Very cool.
Like a good side. But yeah, I feel like, and I mean, I guess I didn't really get all of the attention, if you will, just because I was like more of a role player, but just like a solid guy. But the way that it worked for the draft is every coach in the conference would recommend like a couple of players from other teams. You couldn't recommend your own players, wow. But so, you know, all the other coaches from the conference recommended me. And then, you know, during the like junior going in my senior year, I went on trial to like 5 different clubs.
Yeah.
And then that's when I went to San Jose before we got moved to Houston. Just really got along with the club, the team, teammates, and got me like kind of the first intro, because the draft was a little bit different than what it is today, and just the overall program and stuff. But yeah, no championships. Just like, you know, a notable player that was doing really well. And then everybody kind of went to Southern California for like this 4-team kind of mini tournament, so the coaches can all watch players, and then from there you get drafted in Philadelphia, and then that was how I kind of
like
got my start.
Like a combine, if you will.
Pretty much, yeah. Like 2 days, like 4 different teams kind of play each other round robin, and you know, after that,
it's kind of crazy how times have changed, because that sounds ideal, but that's not what it is now.
Yeah, but then if you're not in that top group, you're screwed. So like, what happens? And then there were some guys that got drafted even outside of that, but at the time that was the window. Like if you were either in that combine, or you're just kind of like, all right, I don't really know what's going to happen. So yeah. And then I got drafted, and you know, the team was first in San Jose, and then during the draft it got moved to Houston, which, you know, relocated me here. And
was Houston your final team?
Yeah. So Houston to Portland to DC, back to Houston my last year. Kind of just was like done. Knew I needed to get back to Houston because of my network. Talked to the coach, was still trying to find a team, and then just by chance one of the defenders left, needed a spot. I was playing really well. My coach was like, dude, we're just gonna sign you again. I was like, okay, amazing. Played really well, and then almost into the playoffs, played in the playoff game, did really well. And then going into the next season, all the way until literally the last day of preseason, then my coach said, I don't have a contract for you. And there was a couple other teams, San Jose, Montreal, both were like, hey, we would love to sign him. My coach was like, no, we're going to sign him. And then last day of camp, last day of preseason in Charleston, South Carolina, he was like crying in his office. He's like, dude, I don't have a spot for you. I was like, I don't know what that means. Like, you told me I have a contract. I'm good to go.
Oh my gosh. And
I wasn't even really anticipating playing like in like that next year. I thought it was going to be done, but you know, God already had said like, hey, your plans are moving. But I'm glad, because it took that to happen literally. And then I kept going to training, trying to figure it out. Then it was a World Cup year, so it was an even longer break. So by the time actually the World Cup got over and it's like late summer, teams are already kind of informed. Like, is this guy even fit? Really hard, and it's just that one like chance, opportunity, miss or make that kind of like redirects you, right? And I think that's for a lot of players. And some players, even with the Dynamo last year, like are without a team right now, you know, and you're like into season, you were just the guy starting. My buddy Tate even. So it's just the way it works. But I was fortunate because obviously it redirected me and forced me to go into this new area in entrepreneurship and sphere and business.
Wow. And so also a question that came up when you were telling me about the teams you were on, how old were you during that time? So if you graduated early, I'm going to assume you're like 21.
I was 21. Yeah. When I got drafted.
And when you finished,
I was 29.
Wow. Yeah. That's a pretty long career.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely easier to get there. It's harder to stay. And I would say for like the time of when I joined the league, there was probably only 14, maybe 15 teams. I think there's 30 now. So there's not that many roster spots as well. So obviously it's more competitive now. There's 2 teams, whereas like there was really only 1 team. There wasn't like a reserve team yet. They did add that later, which was also helpful, but it was really like, hey, there's 1 team and you have 20 something spots, and obviously they want to keep adding younger players and stuff to that too. So uber competitive. Obviously the game's changed significantly too in terms of just like the style and the average age of players, etc. So, but yeah, I mean the league started as like a top-down league rather than like players develop and bottom up. Where you progress from like an academy into the first team. But yeah, that's part of the story. But I mean, again, it was like a great opportunity just to like even get in, even though I didn't really play for the first like 4 years being on the best team in the league, but it gave me an opportunity to like learn, grow, develop, and continue on. Yeah.
No, that's good. And I love that you mentioned that because I speak with athletes a lot, and like me as a player too, like when I was in college, right, I'm like starting playing every game, and then I got to professional and I was not starting, and that was like new for me. But I try to tell athletes, you learn so much from sitting on the bench or from not playing, or even if you have an injury, you have to sit and look at it from a different point of view, but you are still learning along the way. Yeah. And so I guess, wow, you've done both sides. Like, what would you say, you mentioned it briefly, but like, what would you say you learned in the time, like the first 4 years, like to not get a lot of game time? Like, I know that's mental warfare. I know that you're like, do I quit? Like, why am I here? Like, is it worth it? Am I doing this? Totally. Like, that's back and forth. And there are so many people in your position right now. Like, what would you tell them?
Some people wouldn't last that long. I mean, my uncle
that's long.
Was
for sure.
Someone I always looked up to and was always like, okay, like, great, you made it. Let's go get a real job. Let's go make some real money. Like, let's go ahead and get going. Yeah. And I'm like, no, like, I'm digging in. He's okay, well, let's give yourself a timeline. It's like, okay, 4 years. 4 years, if I don't crack in, break in the first team, not playing, I'm making $17K, $19K, $27,000. Like, I mean, what are we doing here? And so, 4 years was the number, which, then I eventually got my break and broke in there. But, you learn a lot about yourself when you're not picked and you're not the guy or on the bad training day. I mean, that's really where you develop as a human being, because it's easy to play at your best when everything's working and going in your way. You're going your way when the coach is picking you and everybody's just like, you're the best. Yeah. But, not every day is it sunny, right? Like, you just got things that are going to go against you. And it's like, how am I going to like show up in this moment and, figure out a way to break through? And I mean, I'm on the best team in the league. I won 2 championships back to back. I mean, I contributed powerfully to competing with those guys. Like, our second team was arguably, and I mean, the guys that were on that team, Kai Kamara, Stu Holden, Killer Gray. I mean, there's just the roster of our second team was almost better than our first team in a lot of other teams. But with that being said, it's just, you really learn how to grind and focus in on like the longer, bigger picture, and also focus on being a teammate and how do you contribute to the overall group, which is just like a weird, interesting dynamic as a whole. It's like family, team. But as a pro, it's like, this is your livelihood. Yes. Yeah, you're being a part of this team and you all want to be successful. But I think that's the true power of a great leader, Dominic Kinnear, and give him a lot of credit. Even just like any business organization team, is to get everybody to contribute and buy into this one idea, goal, vision. Yeah. Regardless of everybody else's financial situation, position off the field, whatever they're doing, to come approach every single day and contribute, even as a second team player. Yeah. And you're not breaking through, you're not playing, but you're still showing up powerfully as a good teammate, as a good friend, and being positive, because we all know those bad apples in the locker room that are just really unpleasant to be around, that just make the whole experience unpleasant.
For sure.
And that just is cancer, they call it, in the locker room, that you just want to cut out. And, that happened. And, obviously for me, you learn from those other people, go, okay, I'm not going to do that, because I mean, I'm happy to be here still,
right?
But I need my chance, right? And so everybody gets that chance. Whether, for me, Wade Barrett got injured, other guys get traded, or you just coach just like finally puts you in and gives you a shot, right? And you have to take it.
Yeah, holy cow! But that's a grind, and that's a long time to do it. Like, would you say that it was a combination of like, I mean, I'm trying to understand your mindset. Like, how are you saying I'm not giving up? Like, what was your driver? What was your motivator not to quit?
Yeah, I mean, I've always looked at my career where it's like, you kind of, you're working to become like the high school like captain, right? Sure. And then all of a sudden you get drafted, or you all of a sudden make it to your college team, and then you start over as a freshman, right? Getting haze, shaving your head, doing all the things, carrying all the gear, and you're starting over. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you become the guy, and then you get drafted, and then literally like pick any number that's like the worst number, because all the good numbers are there, and just like shut up and don't talk, and just like go in that corner and don't like affect our team. And you're literally starting over again. So it's just always this competitive, like consistent cycle of, build yourself up, and then you're being humbled and starting over again. And so when you go back to making it as a pro, it's like, okay, you make it. I mean, now it's just now you're just starting. Like that's cool. Obviously everybody wants to be the guy and jump in, but not really was the case. So yeah, just always coming with that mindset that it was just like, okay, like this is just part of the process, and you can just use high school and college, and then pro is the same like 4-year cycle. Yeah. So like, okay, like I'm digging in. We have so much to learn. I was celebrating that I was even there. I'm on this amazing, great team. So there's all these great positive things that come from that experience. Definitely. As far as recognition, and obviously the city's buzzing because we got this championship team, and I'm running around town, going out with Stu, and just like having the best time ever. But yeah, I mean, I think it was just overall the mentality of like, okay, this is like a 4-year cycle. I just need to like get through, and
I love that, actually.
Just continue to keep focusing in on developing. And, I didn't get there overnight. So it was just part of that process of waiting out like my time and turn, and knowing that I'm young and I need to develop too. And obviously from there, I mean, I went on loan, and I've found ways to still continue to keep growing while I'm in that position. I was just like sitting there going to training every day. It's like, okay, what resources do I have? What can I control to, develop, in this spot with this team that could help me when I do get my shot. And, went on loan to the Portland Timbers, Austin, at the semi-pro team at the time that was there as well. But, getting those reps and getting myself out there to make sure that I was ready, simultaneously like doing really well in the reserve league. I was like top like an assist. So I was just waiting for that time to actually come, but making sure that I was ready to take advantage of it when I got that opportunity. Yeah.
No, good for you, because a lot of people don't realize that is what the trajectory is really, and like they're not patient enough, and they think that it's going to happen overnight, and it just doesn't. And so you do have to grind it out for quite some time. But I really like the analogy you make about like 4 years high school, 4 years college, and then I guess you kind of gave yourself a 4 years in pro. Mm-hmm. And then what did it just like, you just got an opportunity, and then you just stuck, like you continued to play, and you had your chance again and again.
Yeah, I mean
you became the guy.
Yeah, I mean it's just the way it is. Like players get older, like injuries happen. Yeah. So you obviously are playing well, you're contributing, and yeah, Wade got hurt, hamstring. My coach just like threw me into a game. They started getting some confidence. Like, okay, like let's give this guy a shot. Played in a couple of like international friendlies. And yeah, my first opportunity to jump in, I had an assist, and I really just didn't like kind of look back. It's like, he's playing well. Yeah. He was injured, so he's out for like a month and a half. Team's winning. I didn't score, but I probably had like 3 or 4 assists, and
you're contributing.
Like in a short period of time, and the team's winning, so it made it a lot easier for me to stay in the mix and to keep going. So I mean, it's just a matter of just waiting and getting that first shot. But sometimes you just don't know when that's going to come, and it's just staying faithful towards that, right, and continue to keep pushing to create it, because one change in energy and optimism and just overall like how you're generating if you take that into any negative, coach is like, screw this guy, selfish, right? Teammates don't want to work with you because you're not a good team player, right?
Yeah.
So then when you do get that shot, one, maybe the coach isn't even like looking at you, or two, the players don't even want to like contribute with you. So it's just a matter of, whatever you're focusing on and continuing to put your energy into, just, maybe it doesn't work out exactly the way you want to, because we obviously have these ways of creating what we want for our future, and we just automatically think things are going to work out this way, and then when they don't, we get upset about it, right? So it's also about taking things in the present, understanding what you can control, and then having a focus and clear goal towards where you're wanting to move towards, and then obviously as those things start to come to you, making sure that you're prepared.
Yeah, no, that's such great advice. I appreciate that. What was your goal with soccer then? So you said, I want to play pro. Cool, you made it, you're playing pro. But I guess the question that a lot of athletes are asked, like, when do they know that they're done? Like, when do they know to give it up? When, like, sometimes it's injury, sometimes it's just, I don't know, life happens. But what was your goal to when? It's going to be two different questions, but what was your goal with playing professionally? Like, when were you going to be done? What did you want to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to win a championship, so I was spoiled right from the very beginning by winning it 2 times in a row. And one thing that I look back on and didn't do was keep setting goals to like reach the national team or make this much money, or I was very, like, I don't want to say content, but because obviously I continue to keep persevering and working, but I wasn't as calculated as I was middle school, high school, college, being very like direct in terms of my goal was to get drafted and play professionally. So getting to that point, it's like, oh shoot, I'm here.
Yeah.
I didn't drink, I didn't party, like, I really didn't have much of a college life. It was just like one-way traffic, as I've kind of been saying. And then you get to that point where you're not playing, but you're the guy and you're in this space. And so I kind of like, just had fun a little bit and kind of like enjoyed that a little more than maybe I should have. But it wasn't until Dwayne Derasario one day came to me at practice, and I was hungover. I smelled probably like alcohol, went out, and he's like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Went out, whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, but like why are you celebrating?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I mean, we just went out, have fun." He's like, "You haven't won a championship." He's like, "I won 2 championships. You haven't won one." He's like, "Don't show up to my practice like this again." And I was like, that one hit me. That hit me, and I was like, wow. And that was great because it's probably like year 2, year 3. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. And that just like completely changed my mindset. So I was like, you know what? All this going out, fun, party, cool, know everybody, that's nice, but I need to get on the field. Like I need to be the guy. So that gave me like another redirect to say, okay, let me focus in. But yeah, I mean, as far as like the goals, as far as the professional career, play as long as I possibly could, obviously make as much money as I possibly could. Okay. But I never really got super direct and clear with those goals, which is one thing. If I could go back to myself as a pro, I would have like aligned with that intention.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things for like, at least, and I'll say an American player, or for myself at least, didn't really understand the business side and how, I'll say cutthroat, but just like it's business.
It is
like,
cutthroat.
Your whole life as like soccer, it's like, oh, it's fun. Like not everybody gets a trophy, but we're on these teams and orange slices and we're going to go make friends. We're going to go here, to all of a sudden now you're competing with Corey Ash, who literally is going to take like your salary or you're going to get this salary. And it's like one of you guys are going to, and he's willing to go ask for what he wants. And then you're kind of happy just being like, okay, I'll wait for them to come to me and hopefully give me a good contract or something. So that was first. What was the second question?
It was kind of like, when did you know you were going to be done? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like just like this intuition, I would say. And I think it happens for guys at different phases, whether it's family, trades, injuries. I think for me, I was getting closer to 30. I think as a man, you grow up or have these like different changes. 30 was for me, and turning 40. I mean, I've heard this from other friends when they have a baby, they get married, kind of just changes their focus, their priorities, their interests.
For sure.
And so getting closer to 30, I was like, oh wow, I'm not going to live forever. My grandpa was actually like dying, or he died at like 29, was like my person. And that like really flipped for me. And then also when I was at Portland, the coach at the time was focused on his contract. And I was like, hey, look, I'm playing the best soccer I've ever played. I'm barely making 70, 80 grand. Most guys are making at least a couple hundred. I was like, I want to redo my contract. And that didn't happen. And so I kind of was like, okay, like everybody's out for themselves here. So I need to start focusing on me. And that's when I got traded to DC, and I was like, okay, this isn't it. Like, I mean, yeah, I love playing soccer, but I also want to make money.
Yeah.
I always knew that I was going to be doing something else after soccer. I prided myself on, doing something I never did. So like always saying, okay, well, like I want to be an academic. I want to focus on business. What is that going to be? I don't know. But yeah, that really started to like weigh on me in that Portland transition to DC. And, I think that's really when my game probably started to decline a little bit. And then, once I got released from DC and was without a team, it's like, oh, this is happening. Like I need to figure out like how I can get one more year to just give myself a little bit of a gap to really focus on what I'm going to do next. And how do you go through a transition?
Difficult.
And yeah, thank God I actually got that back in Houston in this really wonderful market with people that I already knew, so I could reestablish some relationships and figure out how I was going to transition and what I could do to kind of keep moving after the game, because obviously there wasn't as many opportunities at that point than there probably are now today, with all these academies and a lot of different media and so much energy around soccer. Before, when I was playing, I was like one of the first guys on Twitter. And I mean, Instagram wasn't even really around a few other years after that, but it's just like, it's crazy. But, guys weren't really encouraged to be on social media. They weren't encouraged to have other entrepreneurial ventures. Like it was pretty much old school style. Go to soccer, get a wife, have a family, go home, don't do anything else, repeat. And I mean, again, that's an old school mentality. The world's completely changed, where it's, what are you doing? How are you working your brand? The teams want you to do that as well, because it's growing their platforms also. So yeah, it was a completely different landscape, I guess, in terms of the game. But right around like that 28, 27 mark is when I really started to feel like, okay, this is, I can't see the ending, but I feel like it's closer than I think, and I need to start figuring out what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah, and that part for athletes is like always so difficult, because I mean, for a lot of the time, people are like, oh, I'm just gonna play until like I can't walk anymore. I play until I have a major injury. Yeah. And I have friends that are like that too. And I didn't really actually think that way. I had an injury, but I wanted to like always have something in my pocket, like another degree or like, some hobby. And like, that's why I was like doing things here and there. But did you have the concept of Sphere after you finished playing or before?
No, it was after.
Okay.
And it was, a bit like Shoe Dog. I'm not comparing myself to Phil Knight, but Nike, and reading that book. It's a great one if you haven't read it. It was very serendipitous in terms of, the namings, the convention, the stories, just from like aligning with business partners to, factories, and just overall like his whole life experience to really get to where he launched Nike. And so it's kind of the same for Sphere, with like my time in Europe to bouncing around to different teams, to my time even in transition when I was living in Kona, Hawaii, and was working with the local community and running experiences in the local gym, trying to condense 30 players in like a small space and facilitate a class where I didn't have a contract. I was driving to practice, 29, almost my birthday, and then I turned around because I was like, my coach didn't sign me. I'm going to practice back and forth. It's like a month, maybe 2, and so like it's almost my birthday, middle of May, and I could just tell it was getting awkward with my team. Almost like when you're not wanted or welcomed, and people are kind of looking at you like, why are you here? You're like, what? Like, why is this? What? You just feel that, but you're still kind of showing up.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I just turned around and went to New York, and at that time, that's when I really started to dive into the boutique fitness world, which, this is the glory days of Barry's Boot Camp, Soul Cycle, CrossFit, bar method, all these different concepts, and that's when I really started to explore. Well, I mean, for myself, I needed to stay in shape and work out. So as a player, okay, I'm coming out of an injury. Where do I go? And it's like, I got to go to an indoor facility and just go find some people to play with. But then you need the training. So it's like, how am I going to get the ball touches or the sprints? And, so then you kind of do the gym. And I'm like, well, I just want to put both of those together.
Okay.
But then I was still personally trying to train to get myself back there. But then people wanted to start joining, and there's a time where one of my other friends, you and Holden, started running a boot camp. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. Like, I want to do that with soccer though. And then, so like one thing after another led to, me ultimately in 2015, when I was like trying to figure out if I was going to go back to playing, I needed to make money. So I was like, let's just like train kids. I started just like toying with this idea of doing like group fitness soccer classes that I was participating in.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you can join me.
Cool.
And then that just spurred the whole idea around, let's like keep exploring this. And if people keep coming, then let's like keep building. And then from there, got a little bit more exciting. And then it's like just things started to ultimately come together. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. I see that. I can see the concept and how it came together. And that's awesome because it's like killing two birds in one stone, or maybe even three, because you're getting paid, you're getting to work out, and then other people are benefiting as well.
Yeah, totally. It was selfish in a lot of ways because I was just really trying to solve my own problems. I mean, I really didn't have any friends when I got done. So I was really trying to make some new friends, meet a future girlfriend. I was like, okay, I wanted to get back on a team, so I needed to train, right? And then also, I needed to make money. So being able to create these concepts and these workouts and classes was a way for me to kind of fill my own cup. And then over time, as soccer like really started to like push away, it was, okay, how do I actually really turn this into something? Like, what's that process look like? And again, going back to that 4-year cycle, it's like, okay, like I'm starting over again and making a commitment to say, okay, I'm really going to dig in. Like, this is what I'm going to like focus my energy on, and let's figure out, a way to like break through.
Cool. And so to people who don't know what Sphere is, specifically Taylor, my friend in this room, our producer.
What's up, Taylor?
I was trying to I explained it to him, but I would like you to explain it to somebody who has no idea what Sphere is. They see the stickers all around Houston, which is great marketing, by the way.
Thanks.
And what is Sphere? Someone looks at that pentagon, they think, Pentagon, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's evolved so much. Sphere is a soccer-inspired fitness concept, a team concept that's planned to connect the world through game-changing workouts, atmospheres, and experiences. So it's like, what is Sphere? It's a community concept. It's almost community as a service. Our business is essentially a licensable product. So over the past 10 years, from my professional career to my experience in boutique fitness and group classes, I've essentially created a certification to share with people, like a referee certification or a Zumba certification, that anybody can go through to essentially learn how to run community-based group workout classes around soccer and fitness. And so I've created like almost 12 different modules for someone to be able to take that and go make money from them.
Wait, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I did not realize that part.
Yeah, nobody does. I mean, that's the cool thing about entrepreneurship and pivoting the company this last year, which was, a very arduous, year. But the cool thing for us now is, one, I get to get back to what I get to do best, which is like be me and have fun and get in the experiences and not manage. And that's where like a lot of the shifts, happen because of overextending ourselves, which in entrepreneurship, you want to break.
Yeah.
Like, you want to fail fast. Like, that's actually like what startups, you want to do. Obviously, as a creator and obviously an entrepreneur, you also need to learn very quickly, one, growing and developing, but two, how do you become a coach? Right? You're a player playing all these positions, but the goal is to become the coach on the sideline and let all the other players play. Marketing, financials, legal,
For sure.
Operators. And then even the goal from that is like get out of coaching and become like, just the owner. Right. And so I don't think a lot of the entrepreneurial, I never went to school to be an entrepreneur. I wasn't like, okay, let me just.
Yeah. What was your degree?
Economics.
Okay. And you just went to school once. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. But I didn't have that background or experience, but the through all that and where I'm at now, and what's been a blessing is like, one, staying in the game, like with my soccer career. Like, if I didn't continue to keep showing up and being positive and just putting myself in the best position, I wouldn't have got my chance to step on the field and actually play. Right. And so the same thing for Sphere. And it's a test of endurance.
Yeah.
Is how long how can you continue to keep yourself and business in the game, and then figuring out ways to serve your customer, what problem are you solving, and then it's iterating and finding the way that makes sense and creates traction and ultimately grows. And it was always tough for me to figure out who our customer was, because at the end of the day, like, it's business. Like I create this product, this iPhone, so everybody can like talk to each other, and it solves connection issues and blah blah blah. But with Sphere, I was always trying to figure out, because we had so many different, key players like that we were servicing, whether it was the actual coach leading the experiences, brands that we were partnering with, or even the teammates that were participating in the class. So our original business model was, hey, I'm going to pay you, the yoga instructor, to teach to all these different people in all these different cities. And we're going to take those players' money, and then we're going to pay that coach, and we're going to do this all over the country. And so we had almost 250 contractors, almost 60 cities, YMCA, public parks to indoor soccer facilities. And it just got to a point where I couldn't manage anyone anymore. I couldn't. And it was beautiful because we created standardization in the rules and, the laws of the game and overall the concept. So it's like, hey, this is our sphere. Take it. Just like a soccer ball, how you touch the ball is how you impact the game. And we are creating these universal rules so that we can all be aligned. And that's one thing I took away from my coach, Dominic Kinnear, with the Dynamo. We had a awesome intro meeting every year. Here are the rules. No cell phones in the locker room. Hang up, hang out, be on time, right? Shake your teammates' hands before you walk in. Like, this is the culture. Yeah. If you're late, you get fined, right? Yeah. These are our goals. We're going to win a championship. We break down the season. But like, everybody knew everything before we even took the field. So there wasn't any ambiguity between like, if you're late, what do you do? Right. Everybody's equal. So it's like, Brian Ching, you're late, $10. Mike Chabala, you're late, $10. Like, it's just, you create that consistency so everybody's on the same page. So anyways, taking all that and applying it to Sphere really helped us to expand. And it was great because we started to really build traction. A lot of people were working for free. I mean, they're just like buying into this idea, like, let's connect the world. Yeah. We love this momentum and energy about what, you're playing to do and what you want to accomplish. Like anything, right? Everybody wants to eventually make money, needs to make money. And probably like myself, when I'm 21 to 24, making $25,000 isn't great. Thank God for like online poker that helped subsidize my income at the time. But like, really, like, you only can do that for so long, right? Yeah. And that was really a story of Sphere, our first team that was with us in the very beginning, when we met and so on and so forth. But we did things that normally would never happen, in a founding story, because you just aligned with people that were willing to give more than what they got and were wanting to contribute to building this thing. Mm-hmm. And that was the most powerful part of, every founder entrepreneurial business story. And so, over the last decade of creating all these experiences and going through a major transition in the company in terms of the business model, and literally dropping our revenue to zero and repositioning as a product. Like, we were a service-based company. Now we're a product. So like, all we're just trying to do is like sell that ball as many times as possible and give it to as many people to solve their problems and help them win. Makes it a lot easier, but also now gives me a clear focus on like, how am I really going to scale and share this with others? And we were always working with these pro teams, and we're always trying to figure that out. And the market's like finally catching up to what I've been working on for the past decade in terms of third door experiences, off the apps, in person, participating as a new spectating, and just really about like health and wellness. And so I've really, over the last 10 years, created this yearly social impact campaign around soccer and fitness, health, wellness. And so now I'm helping professional soccer teams implement that. And it's really interesting just the way that it's like evolving. Because again, as a founder, a visionary, nobody believes you, nobody understands you. You're living in this world that you see in the future, but what everybody sees is like where you are today. Right. And you have to make some tough decisions sometimes, and that could impact your investors. It can impact your coaches, teammates, just overall the belief system. Mm-hmm. And I mean, just like soccer, like the only thing that really matters at the end of the day is winning. Mm-hmm. And when you win, everybody like is like happier. Everybody's like believes, and okay, the coach knows what they're doing. Yeah, the fans are happy. So it's definitely been a trialing, fun year, and it's getting exciting because we've repositioned, we've relaunched. Nobody knows really what this product is, which is the coolest opportunity, but it's also like speed of play now, right? So it's like, okay, we've done this, now we're moving towards obviously the World Cup, obviously just really scaling up and getting ourselves out in front of the world, to be able to like actually move this product on like a global scale. Yeah. And so now the product is, or is it a secret? You can't tell me. No, it's a coaching certification. Okay. Like at the end of the day, like it's like getting Pilates or yoga or something. Like a referee certification, or Zumba would be like the best example of like when I'd say a great successful company that's scaled globally. And it's just really being able to share the programming with others that find value in creating experiences like that we've experienced or created, and then letting them be the hero of that journey.
Yeah.
I think the partnership of like working with the pro teams is being able to have them share the experiences. Like we did the Dynamo Stadium workout. Why has the Dynamo never done a stadium workout? Or why do they not do any like preseason fan experiences? Or like, why aren't they building mini pitch nuts? Like all these things that we've done, they're just not doing. So that's kind of the cool opportunity to partner with. But like the actual ability to have a coach at an indoor soccer facility just learn our programming and go around and make money is now just at like somebody's fingertips of just going online and getting a training cert and being able to go and make money. Like it sounds so silly, like making money from soccer and fitness.
No, it sounds amazing.
I'm going to go to the park. I mean, if I was to start all over again and be able to like have a facility and know everything that I know now, but like, wait, so I get to be part of this cool brand and I just tell my friends like who wants to like work out and play soccer and like, I can do this like yoga. I can do this like a spin class. Wait, hold on. Now all of a sudden I think there's an exciting opportunity for others, and that was one of my goals when I started Sphere was nobody helped me when I got done. So I was really passionate that I really wanted to create a business that I could share with others, specifically players when they got done in whatever like time in their life, college, maybe they played pro and didn't really make it, far along, whatever. But whether we hire them or whether they take our business and run with it, I wanted to really create a company that would support other players. And, this really does it.
Is there a sort of like criteria that a coach needs to have? Like, do you need to meet with them individually and like approve the personality? Or is it like, this is a certification, you take this, you should be good to go, do it your style, but also like, obviously keep the integrity of Sphere and like what you are?
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever is going to care about Sphere as much as I do. Right? You want to, but my mom could take the cert. Like anybody can go online and go. I mean, right now it's pretty inexpensive, but I mean, there's a paywall and there's obviously a monthly subscription for the license, 2, the training, 3, tips and tricks. Little smaller videos, and then obviously all the workouts and materials that you need to facilitate. And then we constantly keep updating that with some fun partnerships coming up with different pro players that will create workouts and more experiences. So we're just constantly feeding that. But I guess just like the overall product in itself of anybody being able to take it and run with it is just like anything else as a coach. It's like, oh, I'm going to go do my B license or C license, or I'm going to go to YouTube and go figure out how to go run these experiences. And so for me to be able to just talk to a high school soccer coach that maybe hasn't had the experience that I have. It's like I've basically taken like my training from when I was in Europe, right? From like group fitness classes to different types of people and also different customer, because everybody looks at the kids, but look at all the parents on the sideline that are watching the kids that have a bunch of money that want to like stay in shape to keep watching their kids. Like, why don't we service these people over here? And that's where MLS, the world, like how do we bring in new people to the game? Because everybody starts out playing soccer and then stops playing over time. Yeah. Yet the popularity is going the opposite way. So how do we create more experiences for people to actually get involved in the game? And so again, through the training, again, anybody can go online and go and do it. Even if you just like, hey, I just want to go check out these materials and maybe apply it to my local club soccer team. Or maybe I'm a indoor soccer owner and I just want to like have a couple people start running our classes like you've experienced.
Nice. And so I know the answer to this question, but because I play soccer, so I'm a soccer player, yes. But or are your classes open to people that aren't soccer players? Like say someone, I think this is the first thing that is probably a barrier, or they think it's a barrier. They're like, oh, I don't know how to play soccer. I don't know. Like I can't come. Yeah. What do you tell them?
Yeah. So our programming and the training is for anybody. There's no like requirement that you have to be a soccer player to coach or to lead. Like actually some of our best instructors or leaders have zero soccer experience. Like one guy was like an actual basketball player, to a couple out of the Woodlands right now. I mean, one of the Amber, she's like didn't really have any soccer experience before, but she's just like an amazing human, loves it. So one of the things about soccer, it's like a ball. Like we don't use tons of equipment. Like you're just facilitating the way of like facilitating the experience. And again, like the biggest thing for when I started Sphere, I was looking at the entire landscape of football, soccer at the time. And I was like, where do I want to spend my time? Do I want to be on my hands and knees coaching kids? No, I don't want to do that. I didn't want to be in the pro life because I just didn't want my life to be controlled by that schedule, always on the move, living like by like their timeline.
For sure.
And I was just like ready to rebel. But like, man, but like there's like, the Soul Cycle is so cool and Barry's is so cool and CrossFit, like, and if you look at the landscape for an adult to go play soccer at a sports social club, 11 on 11, or an indoor soccer facility with a bunch of high school heroes that are just trying to kick you. Yeah. And there's probably no females there. And if there are, like, there's not many. I mean, that sucks. Like, that's not the experience that I want to have. Like, throw the music up. Like, let's get some like push-ups in. Like, let's enjoy this. So all of the program that I've created was designed around bringing people to the game that have never played before. Like, the more it felt like a family soccer game with just, your aunts, your uncles, your grandma. I mean, which actually is funny because my family every year during Christmas would always do a family soccer game, which also helped we used to do it on like this big field. Like, no, we got to make the field smaller so more people could connect. And I was like, we got to use a smaller ball because it's easier for people and actually helps you get better at your skill. And then, the small goal because it's harder to score. So like all things around the sphere programming, but specifically to who can participate, there's 12 different modules. Like the main soccer fitness is just literally think of spin class or think of CrossFit or think of yoga, but just think, okay, this is actually a team inspired class, but individually focused that just incorporates like a little bit of playing. So it's like active recovery disguised fitness and then goes into workout segments where you're just focusing on whatever, the type of workout class that you're experiencing. So again, everything was designed to bring new people. Obviously I would say more females just because as a female probably progresses, it's like not a priority to go play soccer as much as it is to stay in shape or do things that are like safe. And obviously there's a lot of egos and guys and just creating like more of a competitive space rather than something that's social and fun. Right. And also productive too. It's like, okay, I'm going to work out. I have an hour. Playing soccer is cool. I don't want to do my ACL. I don't want to I don't want to get hurt. I really want to look good. I really want to be in great shape. And that didn't really exist. So now being able to offer that to even people that never played, like somebody that just loves FIFA and plays online or maybe hasn't played since elementary school. It's like, what's the option, right? So the whole Sphere brand and behind the concept is something that everybody universally can get behind and say, oh, I'm going to go play soccer. Yeah. Well, for like my mom, like I'm not playing soccer. Like that's 11 on 11. That could be with pros. That could be with a big ball, big goals. But if I say, oh, we're going to do a Sphere class, it's like, okay, I know this is social. I know this is fun. I know it's like more workout based. I know it's like small ball. So you're creating an idea similar to Zumba. You don't do like, oh, let's go do a dance fitness class. Like, no, let's do Zumba. And people just know automatically, okay, we're going to dance. We're going to have fun. I'm going to work out. I'll go do that. So it's just like yoga. It's like, okay, I'll go do yoga. So with the whole idea of like the brand of Sphere, it's making it so it's universal so people can use that vehicle, use that brand as like the leverage to the community. And obviously that's my job to grow the brand so that it has that recognition for someone to say, wow, instead of me going and copying these guys and creating it, I'm just going to pay these guys a little bit of money, take everything that they've learned and just go make money and be able to facilitate these, badass experiences. So that's been the real pivot in terms of the communication that we need to do and the marketing around the actual concept, because
for sure,
nothing about this was designed to be competitive. Like no class was designed just to be, let's do pickup soccer and go play with, the best players in town. Like that's like the furthest thing that I actually wanted it to be.
Did it end up having some classes like that or?
And like we have like a 4-on-4 baller league, if you will. We even created our own leagues with like a small space that we're now helping Austin Sports Social facilitate. I never thought anything of it, but it's like even the way that we ran our leagues on like a small field with, 4-on-4 was like more competitive. So it's just like you still use the half line rule to get over. So it makes it harder for everybody. They're more exhausted because you're not getting a break. But I mean, the whole idea of like when you say soccer, we do like a social soccer with like 25 people on a little mini field, which is longer, but you're just more about like hanging out and connecting. A 3-team game, which is like 5-on-5, which is a little bit more focus on soccer players that want to play, to even like a 4-on-4. So before, when we had all these different types of people running our experiences, I was just like, hey, we only run this one soccer fitness class. But then I'd have, customers that are teammates that are saying, hey, I have a kid. Like,
Yeah.
I need a kid's parent class. Can you make that for me? Because that's where I'm at in my life. Or a player that just really wants to get better at soccer. So we're like, okay, let's make a skill soccer class for this.
sure.
And then even pick up soccer.
Yeah.
When you say pick up soccer, that's so general and broad.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we have soccer, but there's like different modules for that, whether it's like 4-on-4 baller league.
Okay,
or
so you still
team.
have these.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's like super diverse.
So there's 12 different programs within
awesome.
Sphere. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly. So
amazing.
you have, depending on if you're outside, depending on if you're inside, depending
That's
on if you're
dope.
doing like social,
Yeah.
depending on if you want skill.
Oh my, this is awesome.
You literally have like a catalog of,
Yeah.
hey, what type of class are you trying to facilitate? And then what space are you in so that you can take whatever is going to be the best fit for what you're trying to accomplish and you can learn and go.
Wow. Okay. And so I guess since there's like 12 different types of classes essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like, are they all identified as like a HIT class or no? And
so it's like
are you
soccer.
on ClassPass?
No. So like we don't run any experiences anymore. So like from Sphere, like our main business model is just to train people.
Gotcha.
So, but an indoor soccer facility will use, like there's a lot of like soccer apps like Play, Good Rec. And so they'll put these experiences on those apps to market to drive people. But like we don't touch that. Like we are just the program. We are only a certification. So what people think Sphere before is like, are you on ClassPass? Where's your facility?
Yeah.
Like this whole identity of like really the cool thing for us now to market and say, like, we're no longer what you thought we were. Like we learned and put everything into this box.
Yeah.
And like now we're giving it to you. Super inexpensive, super cheap, great brand. But now you're going to be able to go and make money, which, we were making almost $20,000 at like an indoor soccer facility once, like on a monthly basis, or when I was outside at a park making like $3,000-$4,000. And I'm not like bragging. I'm just saying like it's made for like a college person or even me. Like when I got done playing, I was to make $500. I was like, oh my God, it's so much money. Like, I mean, when I got done playing, I had nothing. So for me to be able to like say, hey, like Mike, here you go. Like you can start making like $3,000-$4,000. Just follow this plan. Heck yeah. Like, dude, $3,000-$4,000, like at like 29 when I didn't have a job and I was trying to figure it out would have been godsend. I'm like, wow. And so even for a lot of these captains, people that are running it, if it helps them pay their, mortgage or, electrical bill or even car insurance. I mean, those little things really add up by what? Like going out and having fun, playing soccer, working out. It gets kind of silly, but at the same time, really cool just because it, didn't exist. And, we're bringing something to life that will help others hopefully be able to solve their problems and do what we do really good or well by bringing people together, through the program and going back to like how we met and the whole table thing and, creating a concept that is social and fun that you can use that ball as a vehicle, but ultimately helping people feel more connected. And I think that's the difference of the concept of yoga or spin, which are two amazing concepts, but you don't walk out of that class feeling like you just have your new best friend.
Right. Is there more like personal and like your own thing?
You're in your own space.
It's your own space, your own journey. Like.
CrossFit does a good job. High Rocks has done a really good job, right? And now making it like team based and stuff. But the whole idea of being a part of a team. Yeah. You're all wearing a penny. You're all huddling up. Yeah. You and I are now like, okay, we have to like know each other's names. We're like working out and playing.
I remember
together.
that. You're giving me flashbacks.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was like my preseason, like our coach hired you and we were like, no, we're like spring season. And that was awesome. And I remember like you just brought it right back to me, but it was like touch the ball, like obviously like high five, like know everybody's name. And I think maybe there was like a do 5 push-ups if you don't know the person's name. And I was like, that's funny. And it was good. It was like the fitness was great. You jumped in. So I was like, okay, awesome. He's like doing it with us. I think there's one thing about an instructor, if they're going to just sit and watch or like a coach, like a coach is there and they're just like, run these sprints. Like okay, well, you're not even doing it.
That's my favorite part about Dominic Kinnear. Whenever we would do fitness with the Dynamo, he would always jump in. Like there's nothing better than your coach. Wow. Like being an equal, doing the work. It's like the hardest part. Nobody likes doing it, but actually getting involved is, it's the best thing. Yeah. So, okay, a few more questions. Yeah. Why Sphere and it's a pentagon? Great question. Also great branding. So you have 5 like pillars, I'm assuming. Yeah, actually we do now. My uncle came up with the name. Okay. I love the color pink. Cool. But nobody in the boutique fitness space was owning pink. One, it was going to give guys like a reason to wear the color pink. Yeah. And it was like gender neutral too, like loud, bright. But the branding agency 5+8, great. Adam Foster did a wonderful job with it, but the pentagon is a panel of a soccer ball. So the idea of this panel represents like one club, one community, and the idea that, you know, and our mission is to connect the world. So connecting the world one pass at a time. So if we can continue to keep making these like-minded communities of people that are running their own experience, bringing people together, you know, all playing in the same direction, you know, we can make the world a better place by bringing it closer together. So that's the whole idea behind the pentagon. And, you know, the whole brand of Sphere in itself is, you know, it's much more than just a soccer fitness concept that you can go and get a cool certification. You know, right. I think the real thing that we're selling is community and connection, and allowing not only for someone to make money, but also for someone to help, you know, others meet, even for themselves, you know, to be able to like have a vehicle to go and do that with alignment in terms of your personal interests. And so for a lot of girls or guys, when they finish playing, it seems that a lot are going into high rocks, kind of this hybrid athlete and weights, et cetera. How do we keep soccer players within the soccer space to continue to keep being who they love being, but incorporating a style or a concept that they can keep kicking the ball around, but maybe it's not as competitive as what they were doing before, but still allows them to be a part of the game.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're still a part of the game, and you're still a part of the game, and you will be as long as Sphere is what it is, you know, right?
I think it's like finding your own place in the game. And as an entrepreneur, when you create about like what you want to do, like what you want to be and how you want to participate. And I think we all want to stay involved in the game like you're doing right now, and figuring out like your play and in terms of keeping the ball rolling and sharing with others to ultimately, you know, give back to the thing that, you know, has been so wonderful to us, you know, and the experiences that it's brought and the relationships, et cetera.
Yeah. Do you do your branding? Like, I feel like you're a creative person, and you, like, because I was telling Taylor, and I tell people, like, whenever they talk about Sphere, that you speak in like soccer terminology. Like, you speak soccer. You speak soccer. You just said it a bunch of times, and I love it. Yeah. And it's so organic, and it's like so true.
Yeah, I need to do a better job putting it out there. I do.
I love it.
Thanks. No, my life is just, it's been around the game. Like, that's all I've literally gone all in on, you know, that sport, right? So when I say play a great game, and that whole mantra and the idea around it that came from, you know, Live a Great Story in Austin, that inspired me from like my dad always telling me play a great game, and him getting divorced and being really miserable. And I'm like, you play a great game, Dad. I was like, why does this game just need to be soccer? Right? Like it's life. I mean, this is the only game that we are going to get. This isn't practice. Yeah. We're lucky that we get days. We don't know how many of those that we get, but yet we like participate sometimes half-ass in a way that we're not putting everything into this moment, knowing that like this is all we're like truly given right now. Yeah. And so, you know, with all this whole workout concept and all this branding, which yes, like I'm 100% the mastermind behind the branding. Obviously I got a great company that brought it to life, but in terms of, you know, really speaking of this hybrid world of like life and analogy of sport, is to really just share with those that are participating that like it's great to practice, but like go play on the weekend. Like don't just like let the game pass you by and sit there and watch everybody on Instagram and not go like shoot your shot and take this girl on a date, or go travel and you know, go see something new. You know, and I hope in all of this that through the training and through the programming, and again, like my business partner is always like, why do we not have a QR code on this Play a Great Game sticker? Like, this is a waste of money. And like, I really, you know, we're bringing our YouTube to life, our podcast, but these stickers of, you know, not selling anything besides like hopefully an inspiration for somebody to say, play a great game. What does that even mean? And then being able to Google it or see this mantra of others like playing their best. And that's where I'm like really spending my time in terms of leading by example, which is something I wasn't doing for a long time over the past couple of years, where, you know, you're personally out of alignment, or you're not like fully growing. And, you know, from like a leadership position, you have to be leading from the front. You have to be, you know, the inspiration to not only your team, but the teammates, the customers. And when you're out of integrity, or if you're not operating at your highest power, you know, that's when things shift. And so for me, it's getting back to that place where I'm having fun and I'm leading by example. and ultimately practicing what you preach. And I think that that's so important for your life and obviously for your business.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that as well.
Yeah.
And so I do have, I guess, two more questions.
Come on.
One, how did you, when did it click for you? Because you mentioned play a great game, and then you're talking about life, not just soccer. Life is, it's a game, it's fun, but people take their sport and everything so seriously that they don't have fun anymore. But when did it click for you? Because you seem like you understood this from a younger age, and for a long time, people will look back at their career and be like, "Wow, I didn't even enjoy that. I didn't even appreciate that. I didn't even enjoy that." And so, when did it click for you?
Click in terms of my appreciation for the sport, or my appreciation, or just for the game, the player game,
the game of life. Because for you, you mentioned, I mean, I see it every day is a gift, right? Every day is not promised. And so how do you relay that to somebody who's just kind of going through the motions? And I'm wow, you're going to waste so much time going through the motions, thinking that every day is promised. But
well, I mean, I feel like our world is waking up in a way. I feel like, I don't say that there's this spiritual revolution, but I definitely feel
Hope so.
there's a lot of, there's so much controversy and hate, and again, a big, reason for Sphere in the first place of helping people connect and become friends and teammates. But I mean, really, I would say it's through this entrepreneurial journey that, I've realized that all the things that I've experienced were just the preseason to help me to where I'm at today. If I didn't go through the transitions, if I didn't have those experiences of learning over the past decade, personally and professionally, it wouldn't be this story. I mean, you don't just read a great book that was perfect the entire time. Shitty things happen, adversity, and you grow. But for what it's worth, I think the greatest thing in life is to find something that you're passionate about and, create it and then give it away. Right. And so I've always been trying to understand all of these Instagrammable, read, when you share all these cool captions and stuff, and I've turned all these mantras in, but I never had any depth behind them to really understand what they're all about. Practice what you preach, put your soul into it. How would you play today if you knew you can play tomorrow? All these different types of things. But it wasn't until, for myself, of actually focusing in on me. It's easy for me just to continue to keep looking at that thing that I'm fixing and trying to make it better for everybody else. But what was really hurting was me inside. And that was, again, building a house, the foundation for myself was always fractured and broken from my soccer career, which I'm super passionate about helping players understand themselves, but also this identity that we attach to in terms of soccer, the game, the way that we feel loved and valued and appreciated. And so there's so much there that, you don't have the tools to figure that out, and then all of a sudden it's too late. The diagnosis of everybody now in blood work, and it's oh, get your panels, just preventative. That's the idea, rather than, hey, let's wait until you transition in soccer and then we'll get you the help with your financial planner or whatever. It's no. The work starts actually here, right? And so when you're going through it, it's to look at this beautiful sphere ball game that we get to play and enjoy and put your soul into it, right? And then it's not the thing that defines you. And so then when you do get to that place, you're now in a different headspace and not mourning that loss and actually focusing in on all the blessings that it brought you and opportunities to then transition. So again, it's, time. And I think the game developing, right? Here's another soccer analogy. It's just, the game just doesn't break through. You constantly have to continue to keep playing and figuring out what works, but also sometimes the game just has to catch up, and for yourself personally as well, because for whatever reason, God gave me this game at an early age at 4 and this burning desire, and then gave me all these great experiences. And then now I'm at this place, in my 40th year season where I've have all these experiences now, a clear goal and focus where I didn't really have that clarity. And so this training period, even as an entrepreneur, it's okay, it's about making money, but it's also about having a purpose and making sure that what you're bringing to the market has more value, than what you're taking. Right. And so that's been a big shift for myself. And so I can just rip forever on this whole topic, but I can only just say that I think, like I said, God and like my experiences were just like designed for this moment to get to this place where I had to like go through my own hardship and even just like personal transition so that I can transform into, the person, leader, entrepreneur that can help take the company to the next level. Because, what gets you there, what gets you here won't get you there. Or like, you can only lead others as far as you can lead yourself. Like there's just so much to the personal development as a player where you're constantly growing, training every day, whether it's your body, whether it's your mental side, whether it's like what you're eating, but every day you're constantly like working on becoming a better player. But then when you finish, nobody teaches you how to pick your friends or even your starting 11. Like who are the people you're surrounding yourself with? Because as a pro, you literally get stuck in a locker room with guys that your coach picked to be your friends and the group you play with. You didn't pick that. Yeah. These are the people that you spend every single day with that are your family now and your teammates. Yeah. But when you get done with that, what you just, where do I go find like these alpha males that are all killers that want to compete at the highest level? Like that just doesn't exist in a locker room like that. So you're so spoiled, and then you have to be careful because, how are you I can go forever under this, but I think it's just, again, back to the main focus of like the game developing and just focusing in on this next chapter is just all about like each day is a practice. You get to play and making sure that you're putting your best foot forward, and so that whole mantra for me around Play a Great Game is giving me like the daily like focus and on myself, rather than like, okay, yeah, I'm growing this thing, but how can I be the best version of me that's going to be in, the best for this team and for the world, so I can make like the biggest impact while I'm here.
Yeah, I love that. I appreciate that. And I end with one last thing. You're totally fine. Look at the clock. My stomach's growling.
Oh, I know you're probably hungry. It's time. Let's go.
Fine. I was going to say, first and foremost, thank you so much for making the time to come. This has been incredible. I've just been like a sponge, like absorbing all the information you told me, because you as an entrepreneur, same for me, and like soccer player, you're a role model in my eyes. And so I do appreciate you coming on. Yeah. The way that we end the podcast is by, you have the floor, you get to say like whatever you want, whether that's a quote, you give advice, you give a shout out, whatever it is, the floor is yours. So again, anyone listening can take something from it.
Oh man, there's so many. I think I was like really ripping on the whole Play a Great Game thing, which I think I'll just parlay. And I feel like as I work through the areas of my life that I've been struggling with, right, and ignoring, like I always feel like there's like a pink elephant in the room in a way, where there's things that you don't want to acknowledge that are there, and you're probably procrastinating on, that are really the truly things that are going to set you free. And so I just, when I play a great game, I mean, everybody has like their own position on the field, their own goals that they're shooting for. And I think it's really important to identify the areas of your life that maybe you are ignoring, or the areas that maybe perhaps are, again, like you're just tiptoeing around, but it's there. Yeah. And whatever it is that's there, from my own experience, is to go and like really bring light to it. And again, I've had tons of like ex-girlfriends be like, you need to work on yourself. I'm like, okay, I've heard that before. Like, what do you do? Right. Well, now the ChatGPT, like there's so many books, there's so many great like ways to reach out to people through the internet, but it's really to go explore that and to really go and focus in on, again, becoming the best version of yourself. And so I just like would, from my own experience, tell that to others. It's easy to just look at everybody else, but it's just a mirror, and it's just showing you the areas that you really need to work on. So I would just, again, encourage everybody to really maximize their time here that we've been given. I think the things that are like in our way are the things that will set us free. And just encourage everybody to, just lean into it, because that's really where the magic happens. Yeah.
Lean into it, confront it, acknowledge it, bring it to light, just like you said. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that as well.
Pink elephant in the room. Go get it. You can't
suppress it for too long. It'll catch up to you, or it'll just still be there. It'll be. It
will.
It's not going away. It's just going to get bigger and louder, actually.
Yeah. And then again, it just you for whatever it might be, just subconsciously, and you just start operating out of integrity or whatever it might be. It's like when you can really love yourself in all areas of who you are and, you know, how you were created and what you've experienced, and to give yourself grace and to really come from that place is such a beautiful thing. Yeah. You're like operating from a different power of like love, because you're giving it to you first rather than needing it anywhere else. And I feel like that's some of the things that I've been missing from this leadership position, because it can be lonely, or I'm creating stories for myself. But when I go back to, if I really would have addressed this like self-medicating, like why was I drinking so much? Like what was I ignoring that was really causing me to feel this way? And taking a moment to actually feel that. Yeah. Because it's really been this whole journey of like, okay, well, I go back to like play your game. It's not one game. Like, and again, we always say like this one game, like the game for me is life. So just like my professional career was 9 years, like God willing, I lived to 140. Like, it's just like how am I practicing every day and getting 1% better, and ultimately, you know, working on the areas of my game that need to improve. Yeah. And that can be in a lot of different things for a lot of different people, but you and only you know what that list is. And if you don't have that list, then go get your damn list and then start working on figuring that out. And I think that's the beautiful part about this whole journey inward and working on your game is it's easy to do all the things when you have to go to practice, you know, when you go to work, go to church in front of everybody, but it's really like, what are you doing when nobody's watching? Correct. That's truly going to be the difference. Yeah. You know, and I think that if we all spend a little bit more time with ourselves and focusing in, you know, I think you'll change your game. Yeah. And oh my gosh, I just love that you ended it on a soccer analogy. So I do. I got more where it's coming from. But thanks for having me on. I'm proud of you. I love seeing, you know, my fellow like fraternity of athletes, soccer players pursuing their passion and, you know, just making the field a better place. So I appreciate you and what you're doing. Thank you so much. I seriously really appreciate you. Thanks for making the time. Of course. I'm excited to get people out, go in a sphere. Hey, listen, well, it'll be an exciting year, and I'm just grateful to be able to share the game and the ball with others. And I think that's, like I said, like the greatest thing you could possibly do is just be able to, you know, create something and then let it go. And I'm like finally at a place where I've been ball hogging. I'm like, no, this is my sphere. You can't play with it. And I'm like, no. Like you got to let it go. Like you need to let people play with it and pass and move. So yeah, I'm excited for it. It'll be great. Good. Be a good teammate. Yeah. Amen. Well, thank you. Happy Easter. Happy Easter. This comes out on Thursday. So it's actually not Easter. It's after Easter, but I hope everybody had a great Easter. Let's kick it. And make sure you guys are playing powerfully into the beginning or middle part of this year. I can't believe we're almost like hitting May, June. That's crazy. Wild. Yeah. Don't let the game pass you by. Get in the middle of it. You know, make sure that you guys, you know, get on the ball and make sure you maximize your time. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good one, everyone.